Wants to dream like a young man with the wisdom of an old man. He wants his home and security. He wants to live like a sailor at sea.
Welcome back to Celebrate Michigan. I'm Chris Benson, and today I'm here with Edward Balian, the author of Turn the Page, a biography of one of the best-selling musical artists of all time, Bob Seger, right here from Detroit. Let's talk more about this book. Have you met Bob? Did you talk to Bob? What were the interactions with Bob? Okay,
well, that goes way back in history.
I've got all the time. At least I've got about 15 minutes. Go ahead.
1967, 68, I had a local Detroit band, Andromeda, and we opened for virtually every Detroit A act. We were a B band. We were decent, but a B band. So that would include Bob Seger and the Last Herd. This
cool.
is way before the Silver Bullet Band. This would include the Lords and the Amboy Dukes of Ted Nugent fame. This would include Scotty Morgan and the Rationals. They had a couple of pretty big hits, one national hit. And so I was kicking around in the music business on stage with all of these acts. This is what led me, my songwriting also led me to the interaction with Mike Novak, the attorney I mentioned earlier, who was Punch Andrews, Bob's manager's attorney, and Bob's attorney. And all of that's sort of a backdrop to this book. Now, back in 1968, when we were playing on stage with all these people, I wasn't thinking about writing a Seger biography, but that's sort of the way it turned out in the long run. And since then, in fact, my band Andromeda covered Bob Seger music, some of his songs in the late 60s. At one point, I think we were playing his songs as much as he was.
Oh, wow.
And I think we were the only local band to be covering Bob Seger music. So I always liked his music. I liked his style. I liked his changes in style over the last few decades. Obviously a very long, evolving type of music career. But I always was attracted to his music, whether it was hard driving or the softer stuff. So then, after I wrote the book, I decided to donate a healthy percentage of the royalties to Bob and Nita's favorite charity, Children's Village of Oakland County.
How neat.
And so that led me to a big affair we had in Birmingham, Michigan at the Kid Gallery back last December. We raised money for Children's Village, and I had occasion to meet and talk to Nita, Bob's wife, for quite an extended time. And she read the book, and I'm still alive, so I think that's a good sign.
Well, and what is
a charming woman, by the way.
Oh, that's wonderful. What was the most difficult part of writing this book?
The lack of information. And as I talked to many of the Detroit DJs, I ran into the same thing. It's like Doug Podell, WLLZ.
Yes, I remember Doug.
We did an 8-part interview with him. It's on the website, and I think he aired some of it on WLLZ. But he was astonished the Seger biography would ever come out because in his eyes, there was so little ever known about him. He's Bob, by his own choice, is an extremely private person.
Sure.
There's just not a lot out there on him. I mean, we did a lot of digging. So that was a sizable hurdle.
A challenge, for sure.
To put together an accurate book that went into enough detail. We've got over 250 footnotes in the book and sources for the material. So hence the 3 years to write it.
Oh, yeah. And I understand you have a number of really awesome pictures in the book, too. And I know we're going to take a look at some of those. And I'd love if you could just tell us, like, the story behind them. So we're going to take a look at them right here. So talk to us about what we're seeing.
Well, Turn the Page, I don't know how I could have named the book anything else other than after one of his most famous songs.
Yeah.
Great title for a book, I must say. Okay, this is a Like a Rock album cover. Like a Rock was picked up by Ewald Campbell Advertising Agency. They used the song, the title of this album. They used the single Like a Rock. They used that on Sunday Night Football, Monday Night Football for years.
Yes.
for GM or Chevy trucks.
Yes, I may have heard that a couple hundred times in the truck commercials for sure.
And there's another long story that goes with Like a Rock and how Bob decided to do the commercials for Campbell Ewald. He was talked into it by a UAW assembly line worker.
Oh, how funny.
So anyway, a little aside on the Like a Rock song.
Awesome.
There was another picture coming up. Okay. That's a pretty famous picture of Bob. It's used many, many times. But this is on an actual vinyl record, a picture disc, which makes it quite rare for the album The Distance.
Such good.
That's a real collector's piece.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, this, another very commonly used 1970s image of Bob. A lot of Bob's followers will remember him well in this long hair look of
songs.
The 70s. Yeah, I got a lot of mileage out of that picture.
Night moves, for sure.
Here's a much later picture, obviously. This is at Daniel Sion's studio in Farmington Hills, Michigan. Dan and I did a podcast on the Seger book as well. Here I am with Nita Seger, Bob's wife. This is at the Kid Gallery fundraiser for Children's Village last December.
I have heard from people who've attended a Seger concert. My mom, namely, she's just such a Seger fan. She said he was the best show going at the time, and she said, I bet he would stand up to shows now. He just had the energy. She said, I never knew how much energy that man had till I saw him on stage.
Yeah, well, I would concur with that. In fact, as I was writing the book, my opinion sort of changed about Bob's career. There's an argument that would put his live shows actually ahead of his recorded material.
Wow.
And I own a small studio. I'm a recording engineer myself, so I always lean more toward the sound, the music itself.
Yeah.
But his live shows were absolutely phenomenal, still are.
Yeah.
In fact, the album that's right next to you here, 1976, Live Bullet, recorded at Cobo Hall, that changed his entire career. And it's by no coincidence that it's a live album. And if you put that on today, it feels like you're there.
It's incredible.
The electricity comes across.
For sure. Gosh, I hate that we have to take another break.
Okay.
Come on back. We're going to talk more with Ed Balian about Bob Seger. See you soon.
Do you like this top? It's so gay. Really? Yeah, it's totally gay.
You know, you really shouldn't say that.
Say what?
Well, say that something's gay when you mean it's bad. It's insulting. What if every time something was bad, everybody said, oh, that's so girl wearing a skirt as a top?
Oh, you are.
Those are cute jeans, though. When you say that's so gay, do you realize what you say? Knock it off.
Everybody has a dream. Mine was to see the ocean. And with a little help, I made it.
Welcome back to Celebrate Michigan. I'm Chris Benson. We're back in the studio with Ed Balian to talk about his plans for the future. I imagine that some of your plans will involve promoting this book, having book signings. Do you have a few of those things on the calendar?
Oh, yeah. Well, all of that started in September 2019. The book actually came out just before that in July 2019. And our first event was Lee Allen, famous Detroit DJ from back in the 60s. He held an honorary event for Robin Seymour, who since passed away, unfortunately. But it was a big event, about 500 people out at that Novi collectible.
The Suburban
Showcase.
Yes, I know it well.
Yeah, big event out there, kind of kicked it off. We had a booth. I did some book signings, etc. And that was a lot of fun. But then things really got rolling. I was flying in from San Diego at the time, and we did 2 book tours in Michigan involving libraries. And we did a total of about 15 libraries, tremendous turnouts for all of them. And we did Novi, Northville, South Lyon, a few others escape me at the moment. But I know Farmington Hills was one that was coming up. Livonia was coming up. We were going great guns. We came back in February, did more shows in 2020, and we had 19 libraries lined up in March and April in 2020. Well, you know what happened to those.
Unfortunately, I do.
So COVID closed all of that down. We have a database right now of 64 Michigan libraries that all of whom contacted us.
Wow.
And they're in our database and they want shows. And we're waiting for the lockdown to be released, with safety for everyone, obviously.
Sure.
And we're ready to go. And we have them all prioritized. The March, April shows get the top priority, since we had them set up first. And so we do shows that involves about a 90-minute presentation, and I do a question and answer session with the audience. I walk around, I show 2 or 3 YouTubes of Seger, I do a book signing at the end, and so the libraries have been absolutely phenomenal. Their little network where they talk with each other, they have electronic newsletters every month, and the word is spread very, very quickly about this book. And it was overwhelming to me. I had no idea that there would be that kind of public acceptance of this book when I wrote it. In fact, I had never even thought about library book tours.
Wow.
I was thinking of Amazon book sales.
Sure.
Okay, we'll sell a few copies in Michigan and maybe a few other places. Well, to date, we've sold all over Europe, Australia, South America, Canada, Mexico, every state in the United States. And I can't even say that Michigan's been the strongest sales.
Wow.
I'm not sure.
Where can people find the book? If someone's watching now, I'm sure they're going to say, give me that book. Where can they find it?
I'm so glad you asked that, Chris.
I'm setting you up really easy here.
A couple of different ways. Most people get it through Amazon. And you need to, if you're searching on Amazon, you need to make some reference that it's a book. Otherwise, if you say turn the page, you get the sheet music for the song.
Yes.
Which is also sold on Amazon. But if you scroll down, you'll find the book. And it's available in hardcover and softcover. And also, we have our own Bob Seger TurnThePage.com website, and people can buy it directly from us through that channel. It's available a few other places online as it's kind of spreads on its own. It's taken on a life of its own at this point. But most people are purchasing it through Amazon, which I appreciate. Thank you.
Awesome. So this has obviously taken up a lot of your time over the last few years, and I'm sure it will as you continue to promote it. But based on all the accomplishments I mentioned at the beginning, I have a sense that you're not done, that you've got some other projects in the hopper. What's next for you?
I have 2 answers. The first answer is rest is up for me. And the second answer is I'm not telling.
Oh, so it's a surprise.
It's going to be a surprise.
Wonderful. Well, based on everything that we've heard that you've done, I imagine it'll be something very creative.
I'll put a lot into it. We'll see what happens.
Well, with this, I'm so glad you chose my favorite Seger song to name the book, Turn the Page. But there's just so many great tunes. Do you have a favorite? Was this your favorite song, or do you have a favorite Seger song?
Oh, that's really tough.
I know, it's like choosing your favorite child, right?
Yeah, or favorite Beatle record.
Yeah.
This is it's a great question. I'm not sure I have such a great answer. I like, for the hard rock era, I like Ramblin' Gamblin' Man. My band performed 2+2, which many of Seger fans may not even be familiar with that song, way back, 1968. Later stuff into the 70s and 80s, I really like Against the Wind. And I think, too, it might be important to interject right now Seger's lyrics, which are amazing. And when I talked to Anita, she said Bob felt his greatest accomplishment was not the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, which he is in,
right,
but it was the Songwriters Hall of Fame, which he is also in. And he felt the latter was the accomplishment he was most proud of. And I would agree with that. His lyrics, his songwriting is quite excellent, and I think to this day, still somewhat underrated. Great songwriter.
Yeah, I agree. It's the poetry of the lyrics is just something. I mean, it's one thing when you hear him sing it, but when you read it and like focus on it, it's really meaningful.
And I think to your earlier point, two of the best lyrics would be Turn the Page and Against the Wind. Oh. Absolutely, two of his best lyrics, in my opinion.
Of course. The time has gone by way too fast. I can't believe we're at the end of the show. Ed, I really appreciate you coming out. This has just been a wonderful contribution to the Detroit era. What's that website again, if we want to go to your website to get the book?
Yeah, thank you. It's BobSegerTurnThePage.com.
BobSegerTurnThePage.com. Well, wonderful.
And Amazon.
See, there you go.
But great questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Have a great week. We'll see you next time on Celebrate Michigan. Take care.